All right. Hello, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm Jabri from Coins for Humanity, Executive Director, and I'm coming to you today from Kigali, Rwanda, with another interview. And this time, I'm introducing you to
Germain Rwanda.
So Germain, and I met Germain yesterday at a 2-day training with Health Development Initiative. That's the organization that I'm working with. And he was a part of the human rights violation documentation training to better serve his organization and documenting human rights violations. So tell us a little bit about your organization.
My organization is called Safe Friendly Society.
Safer Society?
Yeah. It focuses on MSL, men who have sex with men, gay, bisexual men, and transgender men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a mission to advocate for capacity building in community activities, to advocate for MSM to have access to health services, and also to fight any solely-based discrimination in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting to me because prior to coming to Rwanda, I didn't know that Rwanda didn't have an anti-homosexuality bill. So how did Rwanda become so progressive around the LGBT community?
All that started back in 2009, where in the pyramid there was an anti-homosexual bill in the penal code. But other activists, as well LGBT activists and as well as human rights activists, fought together, came together and fought in order to remove that anti-homosexual bill article in the penal code. So all that has its roots in the history of Rwanda. We know how people, if they hate each other, it can come to catastrophic events. So you are very cautious. We know that if we start making people hate each other, is a problem. So they removed that article in the penal code, but that doesn't mean the LGBT problems are solved.
So what are some problems that still exist within the LGBT community?
Mainly social.
Okay,
problems.
what's that?
Yeah, that means the society is not ready yet to.
No, what?
What?
Repeat what you said again.
The society is not ready yet to.
Ready.
Yeah, to accept the LGBT community. Yeah, that's of course. We are still religious. Our culture, many things are involved in order to represent us, to make us. So that may cause many problems for LGBTI familial, and that's the root in Africa, in Rwanda, our family, our neighborhood. If problems start from there, that's the root of many things. That means all the problems, all the things, your school, if you are a student, your work, if you are working, everything starts from there, and it grows within your work, within the society you are in. Yeah, and you can come up like what? Arbitrary imprisonment, many things. You can come like what? Jobless, like many of. You can be like what? Use drugs, many things because of all those problems. And what about our government? Of course, they say homosexuality is not a crime, but they don't do anything to make sure that the people, the society knows about that, especially some forces of order like the police, military, like that.
Yeah. So basically, from the conversation that we had earlier today in our training, is that there's still a lot of advocacy that needs to be done. And how does your organization, Safer Society, advocate for LGBT people in Rwanda?
I also have to say that Civil Society started in 2011. Okay, and back then there were many problems. Just the only thing, the only access, the only key we could use was the health. Yeah, there were many problems with HIV and ADC. So one of our priorities was to engage both on the policy level, on the in the community level, so we can like what do make a link between the community, the health providers, and also the policy makers. So that was like what a huge task back then. There was a lot of self-stigma in the community.
Stigma?
See, that was self-stigma. They were not ready to go since they were like what stigmatized, many problems. They were not ready to go approach health providers. Also, health providers didn't know what is MSM, for example. And then it started. We created. We approached many organizations. We worked together in order to have like what to train some health centers, for example, so they can have like friendly services to MSM. But there was also another problem. People could not go when in need of health services, go to the other health centers. They were afraid. So they needed some encouragement. So we created like what support groups, so people can meet on those health centers, so they can discuss their problems and also encourage others who cannot come, so they can come. That's the work we started doing.
So the root of safer society was HIV and AIDS with men who have sex with men. And so what is HIV/AIDS like in Rwanda today?
Today it's really evolved. Now, if for example, the Rwanda Biomedical Center, which is part of the Ministry of Health, is now like what is now involved in order to like what to provide better health services. They're now training like what over 50 health centers across the country, and now we have like what access to lubricants, for example, almost everywhere. No one can say that is now lubricants are available. Policies are better now. The Ministry of Health has like what in its national strategic plan, they have like what included MSM now. But the problems I see there with, for example, transgender men.
So when you say transgender men, you mean they were born female and are now living their lives as a man?
No, they were born men.
And now they're living as a woman. Yeah. So transgender woman.
Women.
Okay.
Yeah, trans women. So about them, it became clear that MSM is really a part of another part. It became like it's different. There was something like what conformism. You must conform to other people, and that term MSM was not really. It didn't fit with trans women. Since it's a medical term, you're just a man who's having sex with another man. That was just that. So transgender trans women became like what? They have many other problems. And also it became clear that health is not the only problem we have. We have economic oppression, we have many other problems, and that involves as well our health.
MSM.
So, yeah,
men have sex with men.
Like what? It will involve this transgender people, and MSM are not empowered economically. For example, they could not go to afford health services. So there were other many problems. It's not on the health.
So basically, men who have sex with men and transgender women are less likely to be employed than someone who is, say, heterosexual, or it was born a man living as a man, or born a woman living as a woman. Yeah.
Okay, it became clear, and in 2013, we ran a project, a documentation project. And we focused on access to health services, how people, MSM and trans women are accessing to health services. Also, it focused on employment. Yes, how MSM gay men and all those people, GBT, are what? Or how are the chances that they can be employed and they keep that job?
Now, what community is being most impacted by HIV/AIDS today? Is it MSM? Is it heterosexual? Is it young? Is it adolescent girls, women? Who's mostly being impacted?
For now, we had a chance to participate in many research. Yeah, and for now, among the key population, sex workers are the first. Female sex workers are the first, and secondly, they are men who have sex with men. All that, of course, because they don't. Some people, even in the rural areas, they don't even know that anal sex can. They know that they are protected, but not having like what called normal sex, sexual intercourse. They are now prevented from HIV and AIDS. That's internet. Like what? Others don't have. We might say that. They now we can access to lubricants, but there's not enough knowledge. Many people say, these lubricants they might cause us cancers. Those people don't like. That's why now suddenly they're giving us this. Maybe there's some trap.
Distrust.
They keep using their Vaseline, anything they use. That's also dangerous, even if you use condom.
Wow.
And another thing is we keep having like what we have like there's a bridging category among that the bisexual men.
Say that again.
A bridging category.
Okay.
Bisexual men. That means we are likely to like there's a bridge if HIV can like what go to this from one side to the other side. Yes, if a man is having sex with a woman and now comes back with the man, there's a man. In that thing is like what? This is like what? Having sex is not a crime, but also it's not something which is socially like recognized. No one can say that I'm going there. I'm having my partner here. I'm going to buy condoms. There with my. So they are likely to have that. If we go there, we be like what? There's something like. So they prefer to go without condom. So those are many.
Are condoms accessible here? Like I know when I was in Kenya and talking to different people, they were saying that condoms are in like public bathrooms, they're in clubs, like they're really accessible. What is that like here in terms of people getting access to that?
Condoms, to tell the truth, they are accessible.
They are?
To be honest. Yes, they are
So
accessible.
how come people aren't using them?
But what I mean is that by being accessible, it doesn't mean you go in maybe in bars. There are some like what those machines, but they're empty most of the time. It's there because RB said it must be there, but it doesn't mean because they cannot be free while they can sell them and they can gain money. So it's like it's there, but it's not in the bars. They say that you can go in, but those machines are either they're not functioning, they're not working. Either it's empty. It's always like that. That's the truth of it. But and others in hotels, how many people can access hotels? You cannot go in hotels just to access to condoms. Others in some work and health centers, but truly, to tell the truth, not everyone can go the health center just for condoms. But when they are sick, they can go and profit. Maybe I can get condoms. But when they're finished, he's not going to go back. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. That's it. Can you see now how chances of not using condoms are still there.
So they're accessible, but they're not really accessible. Like is the front of accessibility like, oh yeah, we have this container in the club or this container here in the bathroom, but we're not going to make sure it's filled up, Wow, that's interesting because and it's for me is nice to see the differences in the different countries because a lot of feedback that I got in Kenya was that adolescent girls were more likely to get HIV because of the lack of education in the schools. Whereas here is more sex workers and men who have sex with men also because of a lack of education around the types of sex that they're engaging in, how to use lubricants, and also the accessibility of condoms. So, what can be done to make sure that that education is getting to the sex workers, the men who have sex with men, and also bisexual men to let them know to use condoms with their partners, regardless if they're male or female?
Mm, the question is what can be done.
Yeah.
So maybe I go about it the hard way, but to tell the truth, what I always observe about two cases.
Mm-hmm.
The first case is when with people living with HIV.
Uh-huh.
They were back in the years. They used to be like what shunned, stigmatized, many things,
Mm-hmm.
and the government, everyone deployed his efforts so in order to support them, to help them, to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, people now have like what almost enough knowledge on HIV.
Mm-hmm.
So no
They
one
don't
is
have enough.
no one is really no longer stigmatized because he's HIV positive
Mm-hmm.
in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
Not many. It always be there, but not many. A few, very few.
Mm-hmm.
So another case is of condom. There have been many efforts deployed in order to make religious leaders
Mm-hmm.
to like what to allow to like what to help to soften in order to um, their church members everyone can like what use a condom without
Mm-hmm.
like being you see and in our case of MSMGBT
Mm-hmm.
there need to be more you don't they use Rwanda is not ready that's how they say
Mm-hmm.
for hearing such a thing so it's better we use some channels like peer educators but peer educators cannot be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Peer educators are not ready. They have like their work. We have been observing like what peer educators going around if they disturb um, lubricants, if they are what beaten in the neighborhoods. You
Mm-hmm.
came into my home, you are like what changing my boy in whatever they have been. No one was there to save them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You cannot launch someone to go and do this, and that's you see. You're not, the society is not ready. How come you are pushing someone and going to them to do things when you are not? So it's up to the government to deploy some other force to use some channels of information while already use. But I'm not saying like what the signs on the road, but maybe some like what brochure agree about that.
Mm.
And what
What
some
about the use of radio? Because I know
yes to
radio
use
is
radio.
very
Yes, I know.
significant.
Yes, for
It
sure.
has had
That's
a
why yes,
significant
yes I know. But I'm just starting from the
history.
bottom. I'm not going high to the. I know it's sensitive about that, but
Yeah,
yes, radios too.
radio has had a
Yes,
very
it's not
significant
media.
history in
Radio,
Rwanda.
yes, media. They go there. I know how a debate can be used without really hurting some people who are homophobic or what, but that can be used. You don't have uh, to dispatch people. Go and do this when you're not ready to do them by yourself. Go and say, "Why are you doing this on radio?" And
Yeah.
when that something's done, I'm sure that one's not going to be beaten or what, because they already have had something there.
So this idea of like the society is not ready is interesting to me because so when do you do the work that needs to be done? Like how does the society get ready? We don't know. So it's like we still have to move forward with things because say if the society is not ready for 10 years, does that mean in those 10 years all these men who have sex with men become HIV positive, all these sex workers become HIV positive? No. So it's like the society may not be ready, but people's lives are at stake.
To tell the truth about that question, it's complicated in our country. Mm-hmm. When they say the society is not ready, it's complicated because now they are now in ongoing MSM and MSM behavioral survey, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that one must, and the similar one in Uganda had many years ago, and you know how Uganda is compared to us. So how come the Uganda society is not ready to receive people? So it's complicated. It does requires too much focus on it.
So it's really the government has to push it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in wrapping up, right, what is one thing that you would like to tell the United States about Rwanda, LGBT, HIV, and AIDS to really sum it all up?
I would just say maybe 2 or 3 things. First, during our oral advocacy, we have been using many umbrellas. So activists as well as emerging organizations really need to be sustained in order to be themselves, to express themselves, to be there at the front, not to be used when programs and everything have been already put in action, and you come we need to be to the front. It's fun that we have been receiving trainings, but none of them is a training of trainers. So how can I have been trained for being a peer educator for in 10 trainings or 11 an MSM, but not a trainer of MSM peer educators. So I have been we have been in many areas. It's 2 or 3 times I have seen an MSM or LGBT or an LGBT member in general go in front and run or a program. I'm training for 3 days. I'm doing this for this. So also about those research, we need LGBT rate research or involving at the high level LGBT members. So we need this is really ours, not other people making look like subjects not being done. So that's one point. Another is also to know that Rwanda, we have we work under. It's not we are not we are not allowed to keep high profile. So it's also you don't have to look how if we express ourselves. It's not necessary to see if it's national level. Has it been this action or this thing expressed in the news? Where no, it's just there and it can be proved, but in a way which is low profile. So they don't. All people who are there, and it's all people. They don't have to look on the surface. They go underneath. They see the truth which is there. That is necessary for us in Rwanda. They want to be many events which you can see with your eyes at the national level. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Germain. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I definitely feel as though we have a better insight into the LGBT community and also HIV/AIDS in Rwanda. So I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Definitely look out for the link for. Do you guys have a website, Safer Society?
I just have a Facebook page.
A Facebook page. So we'll post the Facebook page so that you guys can get more information and get updates about the organization. See you later.
Yeah, see.